The alien moon. Zeros 3 was cold at night. The red sun had set hours ago, and the wind blew through the dry metal bones of an old ruined outpost. Fires burned inside the mercenary camp, and strange alien laughter echoed from tent to tent. Evan, Harlow, a human mechanic, walked quietly past the sleeping dropships. His toolbox hung from one hand, a half-eaten ration bar in the other. He wore thick gloves, a patched jacket, and had grease stains on his face. Most people in the camp ignored him. That was fine with Evan. He preferred machines. They didn't talk. They didn't judge. Evan wasn't a soldier. He had no armor, no blasters, no medals. He fixed things. He could repair plasma coils with chewing gum and make power cells run off alien batteries. That's why the mercenaries kept him around, even if they didn't respect him. As he walked, he heard loud voices from the training yard. Alien warriors, Zarniks, Revelians, and Drakari were boasting and wrestling, showing off scars and muscle. Evan avoided them all. He headed for the spare parts tent, hoping to finish repairs on a broken hoverbike. But then, he passed her tent. The flap was half open. A single lantern glowed inside, casting warm orange light on the thick fabric walls. And in that moment, Evan saw a shape, tall, powerful, and moving with grace. Kaelira. She was a Drakari, a reptilian. Humanoid with smooth scales, sharp yellow eyes, and strong arms. Her people were known as fierce warriors. She was one of the best, tall even for her kind, always dressed in dark battle armor with a long energy blade at her hip. But now, she wasn't wearing armor. Evan's eyes froze. Kaelira had her back to the entrance. Her dark tunic was pulled halfway down, revealing strong shoulders and shimmering purple scales down her spine. She was wiping away blood, probably from the last skirmish, cleaning herself with a cloth and cold water from a metal bowl. Evan gasped softly. Bad idea. Kaelira stopped. Her head turned, her glowing eyes locked onto him through the half-open flap. The cloth dropped from her hand, her claws twitched, her tail moved slowly behind her like a warning. Evan blinked. He turned around and walked away, fast. His heart pounded in his chest. "Stupid," he whispered to himself. "Stupid, stupid, stupid." That night, Evan sat near the supply crates, eating cold beans from a can. He stared at the fire. The other mercenaries were loud nearby, drinking alien liquor and talking about kills. He stayed alone, like always. But then, the fire shifted. A shadow blocked the light. He looked up. It was Kaelira. She stood above him like a mountain. Her armor was back on, black and red, with battle claws at her sides. Her face was unreadable. Her long tail flicked behind her like a whip. Evan stood quickly. Look, I didn't mean—" She didn't speak. She grabbed his jacket collar, and then she dragged him. Evan stumbled, nearly dropping his can. She was strong, really strong. She pulled him across the camp like a sack of tools. Mercenaries turned and stared. Some laughed. Others looked away, afraid. Kaelira didn't care. She stopped only when they reached her war tent. Without a word, she pulled open the flap and threw him inside. He fell onto the floor mat, coughing. She stepped in after him, closed the flap, and locked it from the inside. Evan sat up. His heart beat like a drum. The tent was warm, lit by one red lantern. Alien weapons lined the walls. Maps and trophies were everywhere. Bones, medals, and broken helmets. Kaelira stood tall, arms crossed. "You looked," she said. Her voice was deep, smooth, and calm. I didn't mean to," Evan said quickly. "I was just walking by. The flap was open. I didn't know—" "You looked," she repeated. Evan lowered his head. "I'm sorry." Silence. He waited for a threat, a slap, a warning. But instead, Kaelira chuckled. You humans, she said. So weak, so small, but you have strange courage. Evan looked up. Kalira walked around him slowly, like a predator studying prey. In my culture, she said, to see a warrior disarmed is a sign of challenge or interest. I swear, it was just a mistake, he said. I'm not challenging anyone. And I'm definitely not trying to die. She stopped behind him. Then you must repay the dishonor. Evan turned his head. Repay? Kalira stepped in front of him. Her golden eyes glowed in the lantern light. You owe me, she said. And now you will serve me. Serve? You will be my shield companion. Evan blinked. Is that like an assistant? Kalira smirked. No, it means you fight beside me. You watch my back. You obey my orders. You stay close, always. That sounds dangerous. It is, she said. But it is also honorable. Evan scratched his neck. I'm just a mechanic. She knelt in front of him, face inches from his. Then you will be the first mechanic to survive the Battle of Bone Canyon. That begins tomorrow. Evan's mouth went dry. You want me to go into battle? With you? Yes. Can't I just fix your armor? Kalira grinned. No. She stood, turned away, and poured 2 drinks from a metal jug. She handed him a cup. To survival, she said. Evan hesitated, then drank. It was bitter and burned his throat. She laughed. You drink like a child, he coughed. Because I am a child, compared to you aliens. She sat across from him and watched him closely. What is your name, human? Evan. Evan Harlow. Then, listen well, Evan Harlow, she said. Tomorrow we march, and you belong to me. Outside, the wind howled across the barren rocks. Inside the tent, Evan stared at Kalira in shock. She stared back, calm and unshaken. What had just happened? He came to Zeros 3 to fix engines and hide from war. Now he was going into battle. As the shield companion to a mercenary war goddess? He looked at his empty cup, then at her unreadable face. And somehow, deep down, he knew. Life just got a lot more interesting. Evan Harlow stood outside Kalira's war tent the next morning. The sun hadn't fully risen yet, and the sky above Zeros 3 was gray with dust. Cold wind moved across the camp, carrying the smell of fuel and metal. Evan's stomach twisted. With nerves, he looked down at the gear Kalira gave him, a chest plate that was too tight, boots too big, and a blaster rifle that looked like it weighed more than he did. He didn't even know how to turn it on. I'm going to die, Evan whispered to himself. A loud voice behind him made him jump. Not if you stay close. He turned and saw Kalira walking toward him. She wore full battle armor, dark and sleek. Her long energy blade rested at her side. Her face was calm, but her golden eyes were sharp. Evan tried to smile. Good morning. Kalira stopped in front of him and looked him over. Your armor doesn't fit. Yeah, no kidding. She grunted and stepped behind him. She adjusted the straps on his shoulders and tightened the belt at his waist. Her claws moved fast and sure. Evan felt like a child being dressed by a warrior. Mother, this isn't a game, human, she said. When we enter Bone Canyon, you will walk behind me. If I stop, you stop. If I fight, you cover me. If I fall, I run? Evan asked, trying to joke. Kalira didn't laugh. You fight. Evan nodded slowly. Okay, behind you, cover you, no running. Kalira's eyes stayed on him for a moment. Then she turned and walked toward the landing zone. Let's move. The mercenary squad gathered near the dropship. There were 10 warriors in total, aliens of different shapes, sizes, and colors. They all had one thing in common, scars. Some looked at Evan with confusion, others with amusement. One large insectoid creature buzzed with laughter. That's her shield companion? He looks like soft bread. Kalira growled, and the laughter stopped. She pointed at Evan. He may be soft bread now, but soon he'll be fire. Evan looked at her, surprised. He didn't feel like fire. He felt like a broken toaster. The dropship took off, and the squad flew low across the desert. Bone Canyon was ahead, a long, rocky trench between two mountain ridges. Enemy raiders were hiding there, blocking supply lines. The mission was simple. Clear them out, but simple missions often became deadly. Inside the ship, Kalira sat beside Evan. She checked her blade. He checked his nerves. "You still don't understand what it means to be a shield companion?" she said. "I didn't exactly get a handbook," Evan replied. "In Drakari tradition, to see a warrior without armor is not just a mistake. It's a bond." Evan blinked. "A bond?" "Yes. You witnessed me at my most vulnerable. That creates a link. You must now prove your strength beside me." Evan felt his mouth go dry. "And if I don't, then I kill you," she said, simply. He stared at her. She smirked. "Relax, human. I don't plan on killing you. Not yet." The dropship shook as it neared the canyon. The red light above the door blinked. "Prepare for drop!" the pilot shouted. Kalira stood and pointed at Evan. "Stay behind me!" Evan stood slowly, holding his heavy rifle. "Behind you! Got it!" The squad moved into Bone Canyon. Red rocks rose high around them, and the air was thick with dust. Broken machinery and rusted bones were scattered along the path. It was quiet. Too quiet. Evan followed Kalira closely. Her steps were silent. Her tail moved behind her like a whip. He watched every move she made. They passed a half-buried transport ship. Kalira raised her fist and the squad stopped. She sniffed the air. Her eyes narrowed. "Ambush," she whispered. Before anyone could move, energy bolts flew from the rocks above. Bright blue lights streaked through the air. One mercenary was hit and dropped instantly. "Cover!" Kalira shouted. The squad spread. Out, firing back. Evan ducked behind a rock, heart pounding. He fumbled with his rifle, trying to remember where the safety was. Kalira moved like lightning. She charged forward, slicing two raiders with her blade. Her armor took 3 hits, but she didn't slow down. Evan watched in awe. She was a storm. But then 3 more raiders came out from the left. They aimed at her exposed side. Evan didn't think. He aimed and fired. The first shot missed. The second hit a rock. The third hit a raider in the chest. Kalira turned just in time to finish the others. The fight ended quickly after that. The squad checked the area, collected ammo, and pulled their dead comrade to the dropship for return. Kalira walked over to Evan. Her armor was scorched. Her blade dripped with green blood. "You did not run." Evan wiped sweat from his face. "I couldn't. My legs wouldn't move." "You fought," she said. "You protected my side." "I guess I did." She nodded. "Maybe you are fire after all." That night, back at camp, Evan sat beside Kalira's fire. She had called him to her tent again, this time offering him real food. Thick meat, alien fruit, and strong drink. "I thought I was just a mechanic," he said, chewing slowly. "You still are," she replied. "But today, you were a warrior." He looked at her. "Do you always fight like that?" She smiled. "Only when I have something to protect." Evan felt warmth rise in his chest. "And what do I protect?" She stared at him. "Me." Silence hung between them for a moment. Then Kalira stood and picked up her blade. "Tomorrow we train. You will learn to fight properly." "I already fought today," Evan said. "I even hit one." "You missed twice." "Still learning." Kalira laughed, a real deep laugh that echoed off the tent walls. Evan smiled. He had peeked by accident. Now, he was a shield companion to a warrior queen, and strangely, he didn't want to run. The Foglands were no place for humans. That's what Evan Harlow kept hearing from the other mercenaries as the squad prepared for their next mission. Thick yellow mist covered the valley like a choking blanket. The fog hid cliffs, acid geysers, and old traps left behind by long-dead armies. Even advanced scanners didn't work here. It was a graveyard for machines, and sometimes people. Still, Evan stood in line with Kaylira's squad, his helmet strapped on crooked and his blaster freshly cleaned. His nerves buzzed, but his hands were steady. He had survived Bone Canyon. Maybe he could survive this too. Kaylira walked past him in full armor, checking the squad one by one. When she reached him, she stopped. "You forgot to tighten your chest plate," she said. Evan looked down. "Right. Thought it felt loose." She adjusted the straps with strong, careful hands, then tapped his shoulder. "You fight better when you don't rattle." Evan grinned. "And here I thought you liked my rattling." Kaylira gave a small smirk and moved on. Inside the dropship, the air was tense. The fog rolled beneath them like a living ocean. It swallowed up the landscape until the world outside became a blur of gray and gold. "Visibility is 0, said the pilot, "dropping you in hot. Good luck down there." The ramp opened. Kaylira led the squad into the mist without fear. Evan followed, his boots sinking slightly into the damp ground. Strange bubbling sounds echoed nearby. Shadows moved in the distance. Trees, maybe, or something else. Every mercenary stayed close, eyes sharp, weapons ready. Kaylira raised a fist. The squad stopped. She scanned the area. Her voice was low. "Something is wrong." Evan's fingers tightened on his rifle. Then everything happened at once. A loud crack echoed through the air, followed by a sudden blast. The ground shook. A bright green explosion threw rocks and smoke into the sky. "Ambush!" someone shouted. Laser fire burst from the fog. Figures appeared, half-seen shapes wearing dark armor, firing strange blue bolts from the cliffs above. Evan dropped to the ground, crawling behind a metal wreck. "Kaylira!" he yelled. He saw her ahead, fighting like a whirlwind. Her energy blade slashed through the fog, cutting down one enemy, then another. Her armor flashed with each hit. She moved like lightning, but there were too many attackers. Evan aimed and fired, hitting one shadow square in the chest. Another shot burned past his head. He rolled behind a broken tank, breathing hard. Then he saw it, a sniper on the ridge, aiming right at Kaylira. "No!" Evan leapt from cover and fired without thinking. His shot missed the sniper, but it gave. Kaylira time. She turned just in time to block the sniper bolt with her blade. The energy flared and deflected into the rocks. She turned toward Evan and nodded once before rushing forward again. But then Kaylira was hit. A blast struck her in the side. She grunted and fell to one knee. Evan's heart stopped. Without thinking, he ran to her. Bolts flew past him, but he didn't stop. He slid beside her and pulled her behind cover. "You're hit," Kaylira growled. "Not deep, but I can't move fast." Evan looked around. The squad was scattered, confused, pinned down. He opened her armor and saw the injury. Green blood leaking from a gash near her ribs. He grabbed a field patch from her belt and pressed it hard onto the wound. She winced, but said nothing. "You need to fall back," he said. She looked at him. "And leave you here?" "You said I'm your shield companion," Evan said. "Then let me shield you." She stared at him for a long moment, then nodded once. "Very well," she said. "I'll cover you. Get to the beacon crate. Call for air support." Evan's eyes widened. "Me?" Kaylira growled. "Yes, you. Go!" He took a deep breath, then dashed into the fog. The beacon crate was half buried under rocks near the center of the battlefield. Evan found it using memory and a little luck. He cracked it open and started connecting wires. The power cell was cracked. The controls were melted. "Of course," he muttered. "Nothing ever works." He pulled out his toolkit and got to work. Bolts zipped past his head, but he kept going. Sparks flew. Wires smoked. The console lit up. Come on, come on. The beacon glowed red, then green. Yes! He slammed the trigger button. High above, the signal reached the dropship circling in orbit. Signal received. Strafing run incoming. Within seconds, fire rained from the sky. Laser blasts lit up the fog, burning enemy positions and silencing the snipers. The ambush broke. The attackers scattered into the mist, running for cover. When the smoke cleared, the squad gathered near. The old tank! Kalira leaned against it, her armor blackened, her side wrapped in bandages. Evan stood beside her, covered in dust and sweat, his rifle still shaking in his hands. "You saved my life," she said quietly. Evan looked at her. "You saved mine first." "No," she said. "Not this time." The squad stared at them. Some looked surprised, others impressed. One Drakari warrior approached and bowed slightly. "Your human is brave." Kalira nodded. "He's not just brave, he's mine." Back at camp, Kalira rested in her war tent. Her wound was healing slowly. Drakari physiology was strong, but the blast had hit close to a vital point. Evan sat nearby, cleaning their weapons. The silence between them was calm. "You didn't have to come for me," she said at last. "I couldn't leave you," he replied. She looked at him. "Why?" Evan hesitated, then smiled. "Because I peeked." Kalira raised a brow. Evan continued. "That day, when I saw you, before all this, I didn't just see your body. I saw a warrior. I saw someone strong, proud, fearless. I thought, maybe I could be like that too." Kalira stared at him. Then she reached into her satchel and pulled out a small metal badge. It was shaped like a Drakari war sigil, sharp, curved, and glowing faintly. She pressed it into his hand. "This is the mark of a chosen companion," she said. Evan blinked. "Wait, what?" She leaned close, eyes steady. "You are mine, Evan Harlow. Not just on the battlefield. In life." His heart pounded. "I don't know what to say." "Say yes." He looked at the badge, then back at her. "Yes." Kalira smiled. Outside, the fog was gone, but inside the tent, something new had begun to grow: trust, loyalty, and something deeper. Evan didn't know what came next, but he knew one thing for sure. He wasn't just a mechanic anymore. He was hers. The mercenary camp was alive with tension. News of the recent battle in the Foglands spread quickly, and everyone whispered about the strange pair, Kalira, the fierce Drakari warrior, and Evan Harlow, the human mechanic who had saved her life. Some mercenaries looked at Evan with respect now. Others still saw him as weak, a soft human who didn't belong. The insectoid captain, Jilkson, didn't hide his disapproval. "You waste your time on this human and his precious Drakari," Jilkson hissed during a meeting of the squad leaders. His many eyes gleamed with contempt. "He's a liability, a distraction." Kalira's eyes narrowed. "He saved my life. Twice," Jilkson spat. "That does not make him a warrior. It makes him lucky." The room grew silent. Kalira's voice cut through the tension. "Distractions get you killed. Loyalty keeps you alive." The captain's mandibles clicked angrily. "You'll lose command if you keep him close." Kalira smiled coldly. "Try me." Meanwhile, the real threat loomed beyond the stars. The Vokt Dominion, a brutal alien empire, was massing its fleet near the outer colonies. Their warships were armed with planet-killing weapons. Their soldiers were ruthless. They aimed to crush the mercenary groups, then take control of Zeros 3. Kalira and her squad received a secret mission: infiltrate the Vokt supply lines and destroy their communication hub. It was almost suicidal. Before the mission, Kalira found Evan repairing a damaged plasma turret. "You shouldn't be here," she said. "I'm fixing this for the team," Evan replied. wiping grease from his hands. She studied him. "You don't belong on the front lines." "I belong wherever." "You want me to be." Kaelira smiled. "You're stubborn. I like that." On the night before the mission, the mercenary camp was quiet. Kaelira's tent was dimly lit. She sat sharpening her blade, her face calm but determined. Evan entered holding a small device, a homemade jamming beacon. "I made this," he said, quietly. "It can scramble Vokt drones and sensors. It might give us an edge." Kaelira took the device and examined it closely. "This could save lives," she said, "but it's risky." "I'll stay back if you want." Kaelira shook her head. "No. You're coming with me." The next day, the squad moved silently through the rocky hills near the Vokt base. The fog and dust hid their movements. They reached the communication hub, a large building surrounded by guards and patrol drones. Kaelira led the strike team. Evan stayed close, carrying the jamming beacon. Suddenly, alarms blared. The Vokt were ready. A fierce battle broke out. Energy bolts flashed. Explosions shook the ground. Kaelira fought like a demon, cutting down enemies with her blade. Evan fired, his rifle protecting the squad's rear, but then a blast hit Kaelira's leg. She stumbled but didn't fall. Evan ran to her side. "You have to get out of here," she shook her head. "Not until the beacon is active." Evan set the device on the ground and activated it. A pulse of energy spread out, disabling the Vokt drones and scrambling their communications. The squad seized the chance. They fought harder, pushing the Vokt back. As the battle ended, Kaelira was captured. Evan's heart froze. Before he could move, heavy chains bound Kaelira's wrists. The Vokt commander sneered. "You're weak, Drakari." Evan's rage exploded. He broke through enemy lines with sheer determination, freeing Kaelira. They fought back together, side by side. When the last enemy fell, Kaelira looked at Evan. "You saved me again." He smiled. "I told you I'm not leaving you." Back at camp, Kaelira stood before the mercenary troops. Her side was bandaged, her eyes fierce. "This human is mine," she declared loudly. "By blood, by fire, and by victory." The troops cheered. Even Jilkson looked surprised, but said nothing. Kaelira smiled at Evan. "You are no longer just my shield companion," she said softly. "You are my equal." Evan felt pride rise inside him. He had earned his place. That night, in her war tent, Kaelira offered Evan a second war sigil, a symbol of their bond and his new status. Evan looked at the glowing mark, then at her. "Are you serious?" "Deadly serious." He took the sigil and placed it over his heart. Together, they prepared for the wars ahead. The enemy was strong. The future was uncertain. But with each other, they would face it all. The sky over Zeros 3 was a deep violet as the sun set. The cold night air brushed across the mercenary camp, carrying the sounds of distant engines and quiet conversations. The war against the Vokt Dominion was far from over, but tonight, there, was a rare moment of calm. Inside Kaelira's war tent, the walls were lined with weapons and trophies. Flickering lanterns cast warm, dancing shadows. The scent of alien spices mixed with the metallic tang of battle armor. It was both a place of war and a home. Evan Harlow sat on a woven mat, cleaning his rifle carefully. His hands moved with steady confidence, though his mind was busy with the events of the past weeks. From a mechanic to a shield companion, and, now, something more. Kaelira entered the tent, her movements graceful but tired. Her battle scars were still fresh, but her golden eyes held the fire of a warrior who had fought and survived. She wore lighter armor now, more comfortable for camp. Life, but still commanding respect. She sat beside Evan, watching him for a moment. "You've changed," she said softly. Evan smiled. "I have. Thanks to you." Kaelira reached out and touched his arm, a rare gesture of warmth from the fierce Drakari. I want you to know something, she said. You are not just my shield companion anymore. You're my partner, in battle and in life. Evan's heart skipped a beat. I don't know if I'm ready for all this, he admitted. But I want to be. Kalira nodded. We take it one day at a time, together. Outside, the campfire crackled as other mercenaries shared stories, and laughter. The mood was lighter, but everyone knew the danger still loomed. The Vogt would return with more ships, more soldiers, more firepower. Kalira stood and moved to the tent entrance, looking out over the camp. Her jaw was set. She whispered, "We will be ready." Evan followed her, stepping into the cool night air. For a moment, the stars above felt endless and silent. He thought about the journey that brought him here, from a quiet mechanic who peaked by accident to a man who fought beside an alien warrior queen. He thought about the battles, the pain, and the unexpected trust that grew between them, and he knew he had found a place where he belonged. The next days passed with training and planning. Evan learned the ways of the Drakari, their fighting styles, their rituals, their honor codes. Kalira taught him how to wield a blade, how to move silently, how to read the battlefield. They sparred often. Evan stumbled at first, but improved, quickly. Kalira pushed him hard, but also protected him. Their bond deepened, growing from respect into something stronger, something like love. One evening, after a long day, Kalira invited Evan back into her war tent. Inside, she had prepared a small feast, dishes from her home world, rich and spicy. They ate together, sharing stories and dreams. "I want you to meet my family," Kalira said suddenly. Evan raised an eyebrow. "You have a family?" "Many," she smiled. "And soon you will be part of it." He laughed softly. "That sounds serious." "It is." Days later, the mercenary company received orders to prepare for a major attack on the Vogt fleet. It would be the biggest battle yet. Kalira and Evan stood together on the command platform, overlooking the troops. "This is not just a fight for Zeros 3, Kalira said, voice strong. "It is a fight for our future. For freedom." Evan nodded. "And we fight together." As the fleet moved into position, Evan looked at Kalira. She smiled and touched the war sigil on his chest, the symbol of their bond. "Ready?" "Always," he said. The battle was fierce and brutal. Ships fired energy beams across the void. Soldiers clashed on the ground. Explosions lit the sky like stars falling to earth. Evan fought beside Kalira, shield raised, rifle blazing. They moved as one, her blade cutting through enemies, his shots covering her flank. When the enemy fleet was pushed back, the mercenaries cheered. Kalira grabbed Evan's arm, pulling him close. "We did it," she said, breathless. "We did." Back in her war tent, the celebration was quiet but full of meaning. Kalira handed Evan a new war sigil, a larger, more detailed mark. "This is a promise," she said, "not just of battle, but of life, of home." Evan took it carefully, feeling its weight and warmth. "I promise to stand with you," he said, "and I with you." They sat close, the soft glow of lanterns wrapping them in a moment of peace. For the first time, Evan felt truly at home, not just in the mercenary camp, but in Kalira's world, and in her heart. As the night deepened, Kalira grinned and said, "Peek again and you'll never leave this tent." Evan laughed. "I don't think I want to." The stars outside shone bright, witnessing the birth of a new bond, between a human and a Drakari, between two warriors, between two hearts. The war was far from over, but together they were unstoppable.